According to a statement published by the Ministry of Finance via legal firm Clifford Chance, the online call on September 23rd would be open to all its external creditors and be an interactive session in which participants can ask questions. The statement added that Sri Lankan authorities intend to update their external creditors on the most recent macroeconomic developments, the main objectives of the reform package agreed on with the IMF, and the next steps of the debt restructuring process. Sri Lanka managed to reach a preliminary deal with the IMF, and if formalized, it would provide the country with $2.9 billion in loans over a 4-year period.
This is very likely part of the ongoing engagement that Sri Lanka is having with our creditors. So in order to deal with our debt problem, given that our debt has been called unsustainable, we do need to start working on the debt restructuring side. So right now we have suspended payments on our debt in April, but we'll have to continue having negotiations with our creditors, trying to figure out what kind of new deal that we can work out with them so that we can continue paying our debt in the future, but at a way that in new terms that work with us. So this presentation, from what the reports are saying, sounds like where the Sri Lankan government, now armed with the numbers essentially that the IMF staff level agreement has provided, is going to present some of the debt related numbers, the technical details behind our debt situation to our creditors so that we can have a foundation upon which to hold further discussions and further negotiations. The main thing stopping board level approval from the IMF is the fact that our debt is still considered unsustainable. For the IMF to legally lend or provide financial support to a country, they can't do that to a country that is just has unsustainable debt. It has at the very least to make progressive steps or reasonable steps towards sustainability of its debt. So for Sri Lanka, the first step there is very likely going to be getting into some sort of agreement with our bilateral creditors, mostly that is other countries. So India, China, Japan, the other Western countries that also have a certain amount of it. I think France has a certain amount of, among them. So we need to get into some sort of agreement there. Not a full final agreement, but what's likely is that we get some initial step where we say, look, we don't have money. We are not going to, let's agree that we will not be able to pay this debt over the next, year or two at least. And from that point onwards, let's discuss about what the future will hold. I think the IMF money shouldn't be thought of as something directly helping the situation on the ground, but something that will help the country's overall economic stability. And from that point onwards, what can the Sri Lankan government do to help people on the ground?
Meanwhile, reports from foreign media states that India has loaned Sri Lanka $968 million during the first 4 months of 2022. The report indicates that India has now surpassed China to become Sri Lanka's biggest bilateral creditor. China, Sri Lanka's biggest creditor between the years 2017 and 2021, has lent Sri Lanka $947 million.